From Connecticut Public Radio in Hartford, this is Seasoned. I'm Robyn Doyon-Aitken. Remember this moment from season 13 of the Great British Baking Show?
I just wanted to tell you that I win a Star Caker in a Bake Week. No! I win! No!
The Star Baker of Cake Week is our guest this week. Janusz Domagala is one of your favorite bakers from the Great British Bake Off, or the Great British Baking Show, as it's known here in the U.S. We were cheering for him right through to the semifinals of the 2022 season, even when he grossed out host Matt Lucas and some fans by putting crickets in his truffles.
Cricket.
Yes, they're gonna be made with cricket powder and then with smoked whole crickets inside to provide the crunch.
So what, are we just talking about insects here?
They taste like you're eating bacon.
Poor Jiminy Cricket.
Would you like one?
No, I would not.
Now, we're not going to get into the benefits of insect flowers today, but we will talk about the flowers decorating the first cake in Janusz's book, very appropriately called Baking with Pride. Coming up, Janusz describes the joy of baking in the tent, the importance of showing up as his authentic self, and how some of the recipes in the book honor LGBTQ plus history. Later in the show, I talk to a Middletown teacher who has the coolest summer gig. But first, Janusz and I warm up a bit before we jump into our celebration of pride and the book. Dzień dobry. Good morning.
Dzień dobry. Hello, hello.
I'm not Polish, but I do know a few words because I have a best friend who's Polish, so I was lucky enough to go to Poland with her, and I attended a wedding, which the Polish people, they know how to have a wedding.
Oh, we do know how to have a wedding. Was it a 2-day wedding?
It was a 3-day wedding.
Oh, even better.
And I needed the 4th day to recover.
Only 1 day to recover, so you didn't do it right.
Janusz, welcome to Seasoned.
Thank you for having me. I am so happy to join you.
I'm so happy to have you. So, is there any other way to bake than baking with pride?
If you want to bake, just bake with pride, take your whisk up and be happy with whatever you're doing. And I think that's the recipe for a success. No pun intended.
Oh, I believe that you mean all the puns because your book is so fun with lots of different puns for recipe names and all kinds of stuff. It is just the most fun cookbook. I'm going to declare it already the most fun cookbook of the year already.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to hear. I really tried to make it a fun experience for a reader. And as well, there is a chapter, History in Baking, which I actually tried educated the reader as well on a history of pride. And I think I've succeeded, which feels really good. So apart from being fun, there is a tiny educational aspect there as well.
Oh, totally. I often talk to cookbook authors more and more now about how personal their books feel, and mostly because introductions include family stories, sometimes even family photos and details about early experiences with their cultural cuisines or challenges that they've overcome to cook or write for a living. But Baking with Pride might be the most personal book I've cracked open this year. Every page, every recipe, every inch of this color-filled book is 100% you. So for people who don't know you and haven't seen the book yet in America, can you describe Baking with Pride and the inspiration behind it?
When I was first approached to write a cookbook, I straight away knew I wanted it to be a pride-themed book. And I think it is a really difficult task because you do not want just a rainbow bakes, because we've seen books where everything is about rainbows. I wanted my book to have more meaning, to be meaningful, and there should be a story behind every single bake. So, of course, I've decided, Pride book, that's already done. Now I need to make it really personal, and I need to make it educational, fun, and something you will grab and you will be really interested in it, and you can read through every single recipe and decide what you want. And of course, I think the most sensible thing was to start with educating people about pride, the history of pride as well. So the chapter starts when actually being gay was not legal, and how gay people used to communicate to others how they were gay. Hence why there is a cake that has plenty of flowers on on it, because that's how gay people used to communicate to others, with like little flowers somewhere that, yes, I am gay. Then, of course, a Stonewall riot happened. So there is a brick that represents a brick that was thrown in Stonewall riot. And actually, funny thing, no brick was thrown, but it is a common misconception that the brick was thrown. It wasn't, but that represents the riot. And then, of course, there is a chapter, Home Pride, where I'm actually celebrating me being Polish.
Yes.
There is a recipe that comes directly from my mom, which is a Polish poppy seed cake roulade. And I'm celebrating my home now because I live in Brighton in United Kingdom. And there is a cake celebrating Brighton as well.
It's beautiful. It looks like an upside-down ice cream cone that's melting, and there's like all these delicious little drips and drops all over the cake. It's beautiful. And it's beachy.
Yeah. Of course, I'm in Brighton. You know, the beach here is all pebbles, so they are eatable pebbles on the cake.
Yes.
There is an ice cream melting on the cake as well, because if you go to the beach, of course you're going to have ice cream.
Yeah, it's part of the fun. So I expected that Baking with Pride, I expected it to be a joyous, uplifting book, but I didn't expect it was going to be filled with so many nuggets about gay civil rights history, and I learned so much from it. So I would like to talk a little bit about the ways that the Bakes pay homage to significant events and people in the struggle for equal rights. You mentioned the Stonewall cake. It is a stacked cheesecake, and it has all kinds of decorations on it, beautiful flags and things like that. You also have a note about Marsha P. Johnson, who I love. I learned about her from your book, and also her name is everywhere now. We are celebrating her. She was also an answer on Jeopardy recently.
There you go. Yeah, Marsha P. Johnson should definitely be celebrated. And I think a Stonewall stacked cheesecake is actually a piece I am really proud of that it's in this book, because it is a statement. You're making a cheesecake, but at the same time, Pride is a protest statement as well. And it's all about the visibility. I think nowadays, with what's happening around the planet, visibility for our community, it is so important. I cannot stress enough how important it is. The more visible we are, the more we are heard. And as well, that's how you break stigma, by being visible, by talking about the issues we are experiencing. So for me, this cheesecake stack, I'm super ultra happy with it that I came up with this idea.
Another really interesting tidbit in history that I learned from the book I had no idea about. Well, why don't you tell the story of the Welsh Pride cake? What's behind that?
So it is a really interesting story. And of course, Welsh cakes had to make it to the book, because Welsh cake is such a staple in Wales that everyone heard about it. We have it in UK. If you go to any food festival, trust me, there will be someone from Wales serving hot Welsh cakes. They're really nice. They are such a pleasure to eat when they are warm. And of course, there is a big history when gay people sort of paired up with miners, when there was a big miner strike, when they were shutting down all the coal mines, and basically gay people tried to help, because they were like, we're in the same boat. We are not being accepted. They are struggling, losing the jobs, like, miners no longer will be a thing. And it's a really interesting story and how those two communities combined. And you can watch movie Pride, and it actually explained it so well. Such a good watch of this movie. It is a part of the history that's really important as well.
Mm-hmm. And echoes of today, what's happening today, of the different communities that are coming together. Not necessarily that their struggles are aligned, but just that they have that thing in common where they're being oppressed or discriminated against. And it's historically, we can do more together than we can apart.
Absolutely, and they did. So you should put your efforts together and make sure that your voices are being held by wider communities.
Mm-hmm. I'm not really a connoisseur of reality shows. It's not really my thing, but the Great British Bake Off, that is my reality show. That is a reality show that I can really sink my teeth into and get behind. I always come to things late, so I only started watching the Great British Baking Show in 2020, but it quickly became my pandemic pastime, and I quickly caught up And I can't tell you the pure joy it was to watch you all throughout 2022. And I understand that you didn't even apply to be on the show. And we have your boyfriend, Simon, to thank for that. So tell us the story of how you ended up on the Great British Bake Off.
The love for the Great British Baking Show comes from this purity of the show. It is basically 12 random bakers chosen by a production company. And there is no prize. What you win is a bouquet of flowers and a cake stand. So it is purely a competition of ideas, competition of skills, competition of flavors. Nobody is really competitive in a full meaning of this word because there isn't a prize. If there was a massive cash prize in the end, I think the show would be tiny bit different because it is all people who are passionate about baking, who love baking as well. I used to watch Great British Bake Off all the time, and I always thought to myself, it is impossible to make those show-stopping cakes in 4 hours. I always said to my boyfriend, nah, I would never do it. It is too much. In 4 hours, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
They should give them more time. If I make a big cake, I'm like, I will do it in 2, sometimes 3 days. I will bake the sponges on one day, then cool them down, fill them with creams, put them in a fridge, and decorate them next morning. And I will be like, I'm spreading it between 3 days of work. It is impossible to condense it in 1 day. Hence why I never applied. And one evening, my boyfriend was really quiet. And I was like, oh, he's doing something on the computer. Yeah, who cares? I was watching a movie. And the next day, I received a phone call from a production company of the Great British Bake Off. And I was like, hold on a moment. Something doesn't add up. I have not applied for this and I am receiving weird phone calls now. So yeah, he applied for me and then I had to deal with the consequences, go for interviews, bake in front of cameras, and yeah, it's all up to him.
And of course, you're so lovable and irresistible. It's not surprising to me that immediately they said, you must be on the show. You know you're a favorite, right? You know we love you.
Thank you. That's really nice to hear. That's comforting.
One of the things that you've said about being on the show was that being chubby, gay, and the first Polish national contestant on Great British Bake Off, that you knew you had a lot to represent walking into the tent. So did you feel any pressure to represent your intersectional communities in any particular way? And how hard was it for you to show up and just be your authentic self?
I think with Bake Off and reality TV, if you're gonna try to pretend to be someone you are not, it's not gonna work. You're not gonna be genuine. You're not gonna sound as yourself. And as well, it will be an act which will be really difficult to keep going because filming is so long. It takes a whole day to film, even 2 days to film an episode. So I think the only solution is to be fully yourself. And of course, I had a lot to represent. There is so many Polish people all over the planet. We just like to move around, I think, and live in different places. And especially gay rights in Poland are not that great. That's what I can say. They are really bad, to be honest with you. And I felt that by being visible, by being gay, by being Polish, I might speak great English, but I still have got a very strong Polish accent. And that is something you do not see on TV that often. You do not hear on the radio as well, people with a strong Polish accent. And I was thinking, how weird is that? I've got so many Polish friends in UK. I was working with so many Polish people as well. And it was the only contact I had with Polish people. There was, literally no representation of us on TV, in media. So I felt like, okay, I've got loads to prove now.
People know you as this wonderful baker, but they don't necessarily maybe know in the States about your activism side. And that's a big part of who you are.
It is a big part of who I am. It is really important that after being on a show like this, I am carrying on with the message I've sent on the show. So I started my message on a show by wearing pride t-shirts. Every single week there was a different color of the progressive flag. And some of the bakes as well were representation of my community. And I think it is really important that after this, you carried on with the messages as well. So I recently took a part in a campaign by a charity in United Kingdom, which is Terence Higgins Trust, and they are an HIV charity. I am part of their training website for carers, so people who look after others. And now being in care. And I think it is really important for people to understand those things as well, that having HIV and being on an effective treatment means that if you're using normal procedures, standard PPE, you are not going to contract the virus. And I think those are really important messages to send. The more people know about this, the better for everybody.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about some of the specific recipes in the book. The flavor pairings are amazing. And I'm thinking especially of my favorite one. One of my favorite ones is the inclusive pride flag cake. So this has a vanilla sponge, which we just call it cake here. It's very boring in the United States. We just call it cake.
True.
A pear and a caramel filling, a caramel buttercream, and a pear and an amaretto soak. Then there's like dark and milk chocolate drips running all down a rainbow cake. It's beautiful, but it's also so delicious sounding, and the cake is a work of art. So how does that come together?
I mean, it is a really beautiful combination of flavors. Caramel, great. Add pear to it, even better. And throw in it some alcohol like amaretto that goes well with those flavors. Oh, trust me, this is a great cake. And I know this combination really well as well, because my mom used to make something really similar. It might have not been that elaborate, and maybe she would not add booze to bakes that she was serving to children. And people will be surprised with flavors because they are not as common in a cake as you would think, but that's something I grew up with.
A number of your cakes actually include these soaks. There's this one, this is an amaretto soak. There's another cake a little later that has a vodka and lemonade soak, and it's not the only one. So I just wondered, is that a Polish thing? Is that a British thing? Is that something like, should I be soaking my cakes in spirits? Because I haven't done it myself yet, but I'm very curious. Especially, I love a citrus cake, so I'm thinking about your vodka and lemonade cake.
There's one as well that's pina colada cake, and the soak is coconut rum. Mm-hmm. But yes, I do like soaking my cakes with alcohol. Not all of them have an alcohol soak, but there is a number of cakes they do have an alcohol soak. And I think if the alcohol is in a cake, that's great. Just don't put it to a cream as well, because then it will be a bit too boozy. But who doesn't want to eat a cake and have tiny bit of amaretto in it? Amaretto is great. Mix it with cake, even better.
Yes. It does make a cake like sort of celebratory. You know, it's like a cocktail in cake form.
It is definitely. So have a slice, and then if you want to have a second one, maybe wait an hour or two.
Yes. You're listening to my conversation with Janusz Domagala. He's a fan favorite from season 13 of the Great British Baking Show. His first book is Baking with Pride. I'm Robyn Doyon-Aitken. After a short break, Janusz and I pick up with more favorite recipes from the book, including one from his childhood in Poland. He'll also share some tips for baking and decorating cakes.
You know, being home baker doesn't mean you are not a great baker.
This is Seasoned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Seasoned, everyone. I'm Robyn Doyon-Aitken. I'm talking to one of my baking heroes, maybe one of yours too. Janusz Domagala was a semifinalist in season 13 of the Great British Baking Show back in 2022. His first cookbook just came out, and it's called Baking with Pride. The cookbook celebrates pride and milestones in gay history, but also encourages self-acceptance and body positivity. Janusz is all about loving yourself and leaning in to the joy of baking. I love your Celebrate Yourself chapter because it's all about being kind to yourself. There are affirmation cookies shaped like fortune cookies, but with positive affirmations tucked inside. And it struck me that some of the possible affirmations that you offer up start with I. This is a cookie that you make for yourself. Like you're baking for yourself. This is a way that you can be kind to yourself.
Absolutely. And finish your meal, have an affirmation cookie, and then read I am Beyonce. That's great. You're gonna feel positive, you're gonna be smiling, and you're gonna have a positive energy throughout the whole day. And that's what should be done with baking. Baking should bring you joy as well. And this is one of the ways you can introduce something really interesting and something really fun into your baking. At the same time, really positive as well. You want to read those messages on a cookie.
Yeah. There are another couple that say, I am grateful for the body I have. I create magic. It's so you, Janusz, but you know what? It's also me too.
Good. I'm really happy to hear. And you know what? You can share those cookies with others, and trust me, they're gonna see them. They're gonna be happy as well.
Yeah.
But I would highly recommend eating them as you made them. They should be yours.
Yeah, they're beautiful colors and they look just like fortune cookies, the classic shape, and delicious too.
It is a recipe for a fortune cookie. It's just with my own twist how to make it my cookie, something I want to eat, something I would like to have. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to read I'm gonna get married next week. I want to hear I'm Beyonce.
That's right. It's not so much telling a future thing, but just, something that like puts a little spring in our step.
Something that will make you happy.
Your body confidence biscuits have a very unique feature in the cookie, and it's the main reason I think someone needs to bake a batch of these for every single girls' night. Talk about the body confidence biscuits.
I think body confidence is an issue many people struggle, unfortunately, with. We all have different bodies. They come in different shapes, in different sizes. Every body is different, and every single body is beautiful in its own beautiful way. Of course, when you're watching TV, when you're watching movies, when you are bombarded with people nowadays, there is not all of the body types always represented, and sometimes they are covered, and it's just such a shame because everybody is beautiful and you should really celebrate who you are. And I've decided to celebrate it my own stretch marks. I do have them, and I was like, I'm gonna put them in a cookie to show everyone, you know what? They are beautiful as well.
Yeah, it's okay to have stretch marks. Most of us do.
I know, right?
I appreciate that you are visible about it, that you are a man who has confidence in his body and thinks that every body is a worthy body and something that should be celebrated.
I mean, it is really important because I am happy with how I look. I am happy with who I am. And I think everybody should be happy with it. I do have friends who are bigger as well. And we live in Brighton. There is a big beach next to. We can all use it. And I have some friends who go to the beach and would not take off their t-shirts because they feel like, oh, I'm bigger. I don't want other people to see me. And I'm like, trust me, nobody will care. It's absolutely fine. You're absolutely beautiful. Take off your t-shirt and have fun.
As people move through the book and the cakes seem to get kind of more and more amazing, we have to remind ourselves that you are a self-taught baker. This is another way that you are so inspirational to me. Can you describe your culinary journey for us?
I am a home baker, but being home baker doesn't mean you are not a great baker. Mm-hmm. You can be a home baker and you can be the best baker in a planet. I am not claiming to be, but you can be. I've started my journey actually quite early because I remember when I was young, my mom used to bake every Saturday. It was like her morning where she would make some cake, maybe a roulade, maybe she will make a cheesecake, but it will be like her sort of therapy in the mornings. She will whiz up a pudding for the whole family to have on Saturday and Sunday. And when I was getting a bit older, I sort of started getting interested in baking. So she would have me in the kitchen. I would help her with easy things. I would whip out some egg whites or separate egg yolks from whites and just help her with making it. And that's how I sort of developed my passion for baking because I've seen my mother doing it and then I wanted to do it. And when I moved into UK, I always used to bake. I would make cakes, I would make something, but then my boyfriend actually for one Christmas bought me a stand mixer and that changed everything. I was always thinking, no, I don't need one. I've got my hand whisks. I'm absolutely fine. Nobody needs it. Too expensive. No, trust me, that changes everything. If you do not have one, buy one.
Yeah, it's one of the ways you can be kind to yourself.
I should be a voice for stand mixers. Yes, please get one. They really change your life. And that's how I started decorating, because I would always bake, but I would never sort of focus on the decoration side of my things, like how they should look, how to incorporate some decoration, because it's so much easier with a stand mixer to make a bigger batch of buttercream, because it's big. You don't have to be with a hand with making just enough to fill the cake. You can make enough to cover a cake as well. So I started exploring the decoration. I always struggled with the tops of the cake being like super smooth, super neat. Hence why the drip came about. Because with drip, you can hide the top. Nobody will see. Your top might be, needing a little bit more smoothing, or it's uneven. Drip will hide it.
Oh, that's what the drips are for.
I know, right? And I just carried over with them because now I can actually ice the cake and it will be neat. But I still love drip, so it just sort of stayed.
Yeah. So that's one tip for home bakers, I think, that use the drips to hide your mistakes. And of course, baking is one thing, but decorating is a whole different art. So I wonder if you could offer some tips for home bakers who are decorating their desserts. What are some common mistakes you think that bakers make and that you can help them avoid?
Oh, decorating is a whole sort of art to itself. If you're icing a cake, you need to make sure that your buttercream is the right consistency. And it's so much easier to decorate a cake that was in a fridge for a long time, because then it's nice, sturdy cake and you're just decorating it. Not like on Bake Off, you don't have time to chill it properly, so you're sort of working with a wobbly cake. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those are the most important things. Of course, it might take you more than one attempt to make it perfect, but that's part of the journey. Plenty of bakers kick themselves and saying, oh, this is not perfect, this is not perfect. This was your first attempt, and probably for the first attempt, you've made it so well, you just don't realize.
All bakers say that it's about the practice.
It is about the practice. So I remember when I went on Bake Off, I always thought to myself, oh, a cake week is the most difficult one, because all of the bakers start with making cakes. So I will be going against 11 bakers who will be the best in making cakes. And that was a tough competition as well. When you start practicing for Bake Off, the first bake is always cake. Cake week is always first. And I remember making my showstopper at home, and I had to rethink this idea 3 times because I was never in a time limit. It was like this mental blockage thinking I won't be able to do it. But then actually my boyfriend told me, but listen, Han, you can make a cake. You can decorate a cake. So think of it, you're making a cake and decorating it as a house. And I think it's changing mentality, thinking to yourself, yes, I will be able to do it. It might take me a couple of attempts for it to be perfect, but yes, I can do it.
How much practice goes into each week on Bake Off?
I wish there was much more practice, to be honest with you. I wish there was much more practice. Unfortunately, it's very limited because, you've got 3 challenges. There is always on Bake Off a signature challenge, mystery challenge, and a showstopper challenge. Mm-hmm. So, of course, for signature and showstopper, you can prepare at home. You don't have much time, but, you can make it probably once or twice. Unless you're me, who hasn't slept for 48 hours and make it 5 times.
Oh, no.
Because
so
it just wouldn't work. And I went into panic thinking, I need to make sure I can do it.
Another really cute one. You have these beautiful little strawberry bear buns, and they're the cutest thing in the book. And these are from your childhood, I understand.
They are from my childhood. So my mom used to bake those little buns, and she would put strawberries in them and just a cookie crust on top. And such a simple thing, but it reminds me of my childhood so much. You could get them in Polish bakeries as well. I just shaped them like little bears, so they look so much cuter. But yeah, it's from where I'm from, and those are an actual thing.
You pair peanut butter with chocolate a few times, and I love that combo. It's my go-to ice cream flavor. But I was surprised to see soy sauce in your chocolate and peanut butter date night brownies. I love a date night food. What does the soy sauce do for the brownie?
Think of a chocolate cakes. To chocolate cake, you always add salt. to most of the bakes that are with chocolate, you add salt. Because funny enough, this ingredient actually makes it tiny bit more sweet and brings like the depthness of the flavor. If you replace the salt with soy sauce, it's not only the darkness you give into it, if this sort of umami feel, it's really good. Like if you make a chocolate cake, try replacing your salt with soy sauce and you're gonna bring a new dimension of flavor to your bake.
Yeah, I thought I was fancy when I put coffee in my chocolate to up the chocolate flavor or to deepen
Oh
it.
yeah, I put both. I put coffee, soy sauce, great.
Well, I'm going to try the soy sauce. That's going to be totally new for me.
I highly recommend putting soy sauce in your chocolate. Trust me.
Now, I did find one thing controversial about the book.
Ooh.
Yeah, you made a note in your fruit and chocolate pudding pizza that pineapple does belong in a pizza. I don't know if you know this, but you're talking to me in Connecticut. We are the pizza capital of America in New Haven. We have a little town called New Haven, a beautiful city where we have some of the best pizza in the world. Ask anyone. So just to clarify, you do mean that pineapple belongs on pizza in the context of this dessert pudding pizza, right? Or where do you stand on pineapple on a traditional Italian abits, which is what we Americans from New Haven call pizza?
By no means I am not Italian, and I love my meatballs with pasta. I know they shouldn't be eaten with pasta, but I like them with pasta. So if it comes to pizza, I think putting pineapple on pizza, it is a great idea that makes me actually happy. You know, like those old recipes when you used to bake gammon with a slice of pineapple on top. It is exactly the same thing, just on pizza.
Well, your chocolate pizza does look delicious, so I may have to put the pineapple
I mean, chocolate pizza is great. I know it can be controversial. But sweet pizza with a nice cappuccino, good pairing.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I was hoping we could end our conversation by talking about your World Pride cake, because to me it embodies pride within the gay community, of course, for its past, its present, and its future, how far you've come in your fight for acceptance and equality. But it also highlights the need for allyship the world over, because there are still places, as you mentioned, in the world where it is dangerous to be out. What does this cake mean to you, aside from all of its good citrusy deliciousness?
I mean, if it comes to being an ally, it is very important because apart from my voice being heard, I've got so many people around me who sort of approve my voice and who are my voice as well, who speak my truth at the same time. So it is so vital for this message to be heard by many people and then repeated by others as well. If it comes to this cake, it's a massive cake, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes,
And
it is a massive cake.
Beautiful.
And I think with Pride, it's not something that is only for the members of LGBTQ plus community, it's for the allies as well. This is for everyone.
Thank you so much for your work and this joyful, positive, unique book that is so fun to look at and even more fun to bake from. I wish you and Nigel and Simon the best. I think they're really lucky to have you, and thank you for sharing your time with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, and I am so super proud that I could be part of this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That was Janusz Domagala from the Great British Baking Show. I'm Robyn Doyon-Aitken. You can bake with pride too. Janusz shared 3 recipes from the book. There's the very beautiful, very tall cake for World Pride Day, a Polish honey cake with a rum and honey soak, and those date night brownies with the chocolate-amplifying soy sauce. Find the recipes at ctpublic.org/seasoned. It's time for a short break. When we get back, Mr. Softy's an old standby, but Mamma Mia's ice cream truck is brand new and coming to a ball game, grad party, or a public park near you. The owners are a Middletown teacher and her 7-year-old stepdaughter, Mia.
Yes, it is a job, but it's not all about the money. It's about bringing that happiness to the kids in any way that I can.
You're listening to Seasoned on Connecticut Public Radio. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Seasoned. I'm Robyn Doyon-Aitken. School's out and ice cream's in.
Hi guys, how are you?
My next guest is Valerie Zimmer, Miss Z to her students. During the school year, Valerie is a teacher, a student engagement specialist at Beeman Middle School in Middletown. But this summer, Valerie and her stepdaughter Mia will be serving up classic ice cream bars, snow cones, and ice pops at a baseball field, park, or summer camp near you.
Hi guys, my name is Valerie Zimmer. I'm here with Mia, my stepdaughter, and we are the owners of Mama Mia's ice cream truck. We are so excited to come out this summer, and usually during the school year, I'm a student engagement specialist at Beeman Middle School, but this summer we started this new endeavor, and we're so excited to make so many new friends.
Describe the truck for me, because this is not like a Mr. Softy square thing. This is more like a van, and it's filled with bubbly decorations and sparkles. Describe the truck.
That it's blue and pink. We decorated with stickers and bubbles and sparkles.
Yeah, so we started this project a couple months ago, and we did a lot of research. We bought a van, we completely redecorated it, made it into our own ice cream truck, what works for us. We absolutely love it. Mia picked out the colors and the sparkles. It's really unique. It's not what you usually see driving around. We wanted to make it approachable and fun for everyone.
What is it like to be a 7-year-old who owns an ice cream truck and works on an ice cream truck?
It feels great. I like to see other people smile with their ice cream.
Ice cream does make people happy, doesn't it?
Yeah. The best part of owning an ice cream truck is to eat the ice cream that's good. My favorite is the Snickers.
So Valerie, many teachers teach summer school or have side jobs during the summer months. What made you want an ice cream truck?
I work in the school all school year long, and then I've tried a lot of other things in the summer. I've tried, DoorDash, Instacart, a lot of things like that. Worked at summer school, and I was just really looking for something that I can connect with people and meet new people. I love my students to death, and it's great meeting their families and other families around town. So this really fit my personality and my love of ice cream. So I kind of combined the two and came up with this idea.
Do you have any special memories of what it was like being a kid and hearing the ice cream chimes coming down your street?
So when I was growing up, we had one ice cream truck that always came around, but you had to catch them at the right time. It was hit or miss all the time. So I wanted to make something more predictable. People can message me on Facebook to see where I am or if they want us to stop by. But just hearing the music and the sound, knowing the ice cream truck was coming, it's a joy that, adults share that brings them back even to this day. So it's creating those memories for the kids, but bringing that joy and happiness back that I remember when I was a kid for all the adults as well.
What does this community mean to you, both as a person who grew up here and as someone who is bringing the joy to baseball games and school parties and all that kind of stuff where you show up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Middletown. I've worked in Middletown for years, and I just love this community. From the park and rec department, the police department, the schools. Middletown does a really great job of building that community. And so to be part of that and now be a small business owner that serves Middletown, it's a great sense of pride coming back to the town that, I never left, but coming back to the town that I grew up in. And so being able to bring that sense of community with my ice cream truck back to Middletown is amazing. It's a really heartwarming feeling.
I did read that you do not turn kids away. So is that where that generosity comes from?
Absolutely. So, if kids come up a little bit short, I'm never going to turn someone away because I want to be able to bring that joy to people, and not everyone has the means to buy a $5 ice cream. And so recognizing the difference and making up for that in any way I can, that was what was really important to me. Yes, it is a job, but it's not all about the money. It's about bringing that happiness to the kids in any way that I can.
You're at the very beginning of this ice cream truck adventure. How has business been?
It's been absolutely amazing. I mean, the support we've gotten from our friends, our family, and the whole community is incredible. I can't even put it into words. Just starting the Facebook page, down to driving through the streets, people are waving. I mean, everyone knows the truck already, and the support is just, it's absolutely amazing. It's humbling for sure.
What, and maybe this is a question for Mia. Mia, do you know, what are the best sellers here?
Let's see. I think the Mickey Mouse, because they already ran out.
So I noticed that someone just bought like a red, white, and blue pop. Are those going like hotcakes today?
Yes, people love the red, white, and blue Bomb Pops. It's also the original, so a lot of kids love them, but adults love them too because that's what they grew up with. So they've added in a lot of new flavors like Nerds, watermelon, a unicorn Bomb Pop, but the original, it really brings people back, so they see that and they love it.
Listeners will want to know where they can find you. Are you an ice cream truck for hire, and can people hire you to show up at big barbecues and family reunions and weddings and parties?
Yes, so beyond just going down, through neighborhoods and parks and everything like that, we do book for parties and events. So you can always find us on Facebook, Mamma Mia's Ice Cream Truck. Send us a message. We've already done birthday parties. We've booked weddings that I'm super excited about, graduation parties coming up, a lot of end of the school year events. So yes, absolutely. If you have an idea, we'll do our best to make it work.
Thank you so much. I wish you a wonderful rest of the summer, and keep bringing the joy.
Absolutely. It was great talking with you.
That was maybe the coolest teacher in Middletown, Valerie Zimmer. She and her 7-year-old stepdaughter, Mia, own Mamma Mia's Ice Cream Truck. Find out where they'll be parked next by following their Facebook page. I'll link to it on our show page, ctpublic.org/seasoned. I'm Robyn Doyon-Aitken. Seasoned is produced by me and
Meg Dalton,
Stephanie Stender,
Tagan Engel,
Katrice Claudio,
Meg Fitzgerald,
Sabrina Herrera.
Catch this and past episodes of Seasoned, covering everything from local ice cream, farms, barbecue, and more, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, everybody. See you right back here next week.